Welcome, folks. Welcome to our 17th virtual town hall meeting for Brookline small businesses and nonprofits. I'm Raul Fernandez, Select Board Member and Chair of the Small Business Development Committee, joined by, as always, by members of the Small Business Development Committee, and also from our Economic Development team, including Director Kara Bruton and Planner Meredith Mooney. And we're also joined, I see, by Erin Galentine. Hello, Erin, special guest, maybe first time on here. Director of Parks and Open Space. So we've got a lot going on today. We're excited to be back. We've been off for a couple weeks. The summer's rolling along. We hope you're finding time to enjoy the season. But we've got lots of new information and updates for you. So I'm going to turn it over to our staff, and we've got all these guest panelists that they'll introduce you to. So Meredith, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Raul. Good morning, everyone. As Raul mentioned, we are joined today by Erin Galentine, who's our Director of Parks and Open Space. We've been working with Erin on a new initiative in response to some of the feedback that we've gotten from our fitness businesses. As they've started to reopen in phase 3, they found it challenging to work within the constraints of the new public health requirements that limit maximum capacity, and then in the heat of summer they're looking for some alternatives. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin to talk about a new initiative that the town has undertaken to address that, and it's in line with a bunch of the other initiatives that we've undertaken about temporarily repurposing public space to support our businesses with outdoor seating and allowing retail goods and sandwich boards on the sidewalk. So take it away, Erin.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Erin Galentine. I'm the Director of Parks and Open Space in Brookline, and we are a division of the Department of Public Works. As Meredith mentioned, my department has been working with economic development and small businesses to provide accommodation in the sidewalks for public seating, for other pedestrian improvements, and adding vibrancy so that we can bring people back to our commercial districts. One inquiry that has been coming to me actually over the past couple months was outdoor fitness, and could we help accommodate this for some of our fitness businesses? And frankly, it was a little challenging in phase 1 and 2 of the state's reopening approach. A lot of guidelines, a lot of restrictions. I mean, there still remain very stringent guidelines. But as we have recently entered phase 3.1 of the governor's reopening of businesses and activities, we have found that we can safely accommodate outdoor fitness classes. So we have put together a program where our fitness businesses can apply for a permit to use otherwise unpermitted parks and open spaces to run outdoor fitness classes. The fee will be waived for this. The businesses will have to adhere to the safety guidelines, and this is something that economic development, my department, recreation, and the health department have worked to pull together so that we can ensure that these are done in a way that is compliant, that is putting out the best sort of safety protocol possible and working to keep the community safe, but also fit. And we really want to support these businesses. So Meredith has, I think, posted the information on the website. And just to give you an idea of places that could be considered, the passive lawn area, mine at Rose Garden, we have Schick Park, there's Nivet Park, we can use hard court space in terms of basketball courts, and we'll work with you. So Alex Cassie, who's our visitor services and outreach coordinator, he manages all the park ranger activities, will be working with businesses to identify a place that's suitable for their particular class and needs.
Excellent. Very exciting. Thank you, Erin. And I think we've got a couple of, just looking at our attendee list, we have a couple of fitness businesses joining us. So Erin does have to jump on some other calls. We were lucky to get time for her to join us today. So if anyone has any questions before Erin has to run, now would be the time. I did include the links to the documents that Erin was talking about in the chat section. And then Elizabeth Dunford in the chat said, excellent to hear. We'll be in touch, Erin. So great, very exciting. Our first participant. And if there are any other questions for Erin, I just want to encourage people to use the Q&A box. Ann Myers.
I can never use the Q&A box. I don't know why. Just a question. Does somebody, if somebody is working out just with a trainer, just two people in a park, do they need a permit?
They do not need a permit.
Okay. Somebody asked me that recently.
Yeah, so this is for private classes that would be 12 and under individuals, and that includes the instructors.
Thanks.
Actually, we've seen a lot of people out using the parks in a whole host of different ways since the pandemic, and looking to get exercise. And so we've seen folks training, and it's really been great to see lots of activity in the parks.
One reason I asked the question is that there's some people who object to people doing that. I've seen people arguing with a trainer and somebody that they weren't supposed to be there. So I will pass that on.
All right, thank you. Well, great. Well, thanks for having me. And if anyone does have any questions for me, they're welcome to reach out. That's egalentine@brooklinema.gov or 617-879-5652. Information's on the website, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Thank you.
Okay. So I did see that we had a question come up in the Q&A that was directed at Erin, but from Shulan, we will circle back to Shulan's question in a little bit with some of our other economic development updates. So moving on, as you know, we're expecting to have Miranda Corbine as the new liaison to public health to participate in our virtual town hall meetings. Unfortunately, Miranda is out doing site visits and was not able to join us this morning. But if you do have any public health related questions, we can certainly discuss those in the Q&A, and then I can relay those back to Miranda and get back to you with answers to any questions. All right, so we'll do economic development updates. Kara. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. So just have a couple updates this morning. Many of you know that locally we have the health commissioner here in Brookline has made sure that people cannot be evicted, either residential or commercial. And that's kind of a local statement that's been made. But also the governor issued a moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. And earlier this week, he extended that ban until October 17th. Hopefully, most of you that are on this call are not in that situation, at least yet, with your commercial landlords. But it does remind me to make sure everybody knows that in order to protect your credit score, it's a really good idea to look back. We talked about this every couple of weeks. We kind of remind people, but even if you have a good situation with your landlord and you've worked out something casually to make payments or partial payments for a couple months, just make sure that you have that in writing, even if it's a quick email, follow up on our phone call. Thank you so much. Just put something in writing to make sure that that's there. And in addition to that, the state has forms which are on our website that you formally submit to the landlord, even if you have a deal that's worked out. And it just documents that you're reducing your payments due to COVID, and you send that in, and what that does is by sending in that form, if something were to fall apart with your landlord, then what that does is it protects you, because by sending in that form, it means that your landlord cannot report you or your business name for bad credit due to a payment delay due to COVID. So if anybody has questions, you can call me offline or email us, but those forms are also on our webpage, and it's just kind of belt and suspenders. Even if things are going well with you, just make sure you've got something documented, just in case things get worse. You'll be good to go, and everybody wants to protect their credit, definitely. And then the other quick update is to-go cocktails are approved. That on late Monday, the governor signed a bill that allows restaurants to sell sealed containers of mixed drinks. And that's with delivery or takeout food. There's certain rules about, the straw hole has to be covered and this, that, and the other. But anyways, it's mixed drinks. They must be in sealed containers, and they're limited to 64 ounces of mixed drinks per transaction. So that's all I have. Meredith, do you want to talk about the public health signs?
Yes, so we've been talking about this for the past couple of meetings, but we do have our new beautifully designed public health signs for businesses that were created by Annika Serene of Serene Design, who's also a member of our Small Business Development Committee. Those are posted on our website. We sent out a business news blast with links to the signs. You can just download them from the website. You don't need to wait for us to come in and hand them to you. So if you have any questions about that, I'm going to pop a link into the chat box here. But that was a fun, new, exciting development. In terms of outdoor seating, which getting back to Shulan's question, some fun facts. So pre-COVID, there were 40 restaurants in Brookline that had approved outdoor seating as part of their common victualers license. We are now up to about 60 restaurants that are approved for outdoor or expanded outdoor seating. And there are still several applicants in the pipeline. So, we're continuing to work with businesses, do outreach, and make sure that they have access to outdoor seating if that's something that they're interested in pursuing. So Shulan had a question about what's the update for outdoor seating in Washington Square. I might turn this back to Kara because I know that you've been chatting with Shulan.
Yeah, good morning, Shulan. Yes, we were talking about this actually just yesterday with staff in other divisions. We did apply for a grant that actually Department of Public Works applied for a grant, 3 different grants that would help the town with some additional cost and would possibly, if we, depending on how the grant comes in, possibly cover common outdoor seating areas like the ones that we want to do at Washington Square. We've been talking about your idea, which is to do it on the corner there where Fireplace used to be, or Porta Maltese. So we are working on that. We do not have the funding yet. And we have also been working with the 6th floor to try and get this cost covered under one of the state emergency funds that we have. It's not clear yet that we can use it for outdoor seating, but we are making that case. And once we get the clearance to do so, we can make that happen even before we hear back about the other grants we've applied for.
Great. So speaking of outdoor seating, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie Miller, Executive Director of the Brookline Chamber and a member of the Small Business Development Committee, for an exciting outdoor seating related update.
Hi, this is really fun. Thanks to Meredith and Kara and Tiffany Sousa over at Town Hall, and a big thanks to Chaim Cohn from Pure Cold Press, who had this idea. We are going to be hosting a contest as of today. We're going to be encouraging everybody in Brookline, or anybody who's visiting Brookline, to post their votes for the best overall dining experience in Brookline. And then also we want to know what the best family-friendly restaurant is, the most imaginative outdoor space, and also the most romantic. So spread the word. I'm going to put the little link here, and we're going to have some fun. I think the deadline is going to be Labor Day, so this prolongs it a little bit for most social media events. However, because restaurants are still just building out their structures, we want to give them a little time. So hopefully this will still we'll be able to sustain the momentum and have some fun with it.
Very exciting. And the hashtag is hashtag Dine Out Brookline, right?
Right.
Dine Out Brookline hashtag. Very exciting. Thank you, Debbie. So if there are any questions about that, you can pop them in the Q&A. And Debbie's going to pop a link to the actual survey and competition details in the chat for people to reference and maybe share in their networks. I'm going to turn it over to Ann Suddeth, who some of you might recognize from Climate is Everybody's Business events that were held last year, or in 2019, I think. And David Gladstone from Brookline Bank, and who's a VP of the Chamber, is involved with that initiative as well and is here with us. So take it away, Ann.
Great. Thank you so much, Meredith, for having us. So David and I are here, as you mentioned, with Climate is Everybody's Business, which is a project of Climate Action Brookline. And we wanted to let everyone know about some specific ways to save money by saving energy, which also helps save the planet. So we have a couple specific tips, one of which is really exciting and has a time limit to it. So for right now, up until now to August 31st, if you get a free energy audit with Mass Save, they will actually pay up to 100% of the cost of energy efficiency upgrades. So some of you may have had a Mass Save energy audit in the past, which you would know is free. And if you have, you can still sign up and see if you're eligible to get another audit. It doesn't mean you can have more than one. So if it's been a year plus that you had one, it's worth a try. It takes literally less than a minute to fill out the online form, and then someone representing Mass Save will call you and arrange a time. You can either do a virtual energy assessment, or you can have someone come to your place of business. So either way, if you're comfortable with having somebody come to your place of business, they will actually bring energy efficient light bulbs and other equipment with them when they come. Otherwise, they'll mail you things. And then they'll give you a proposal for any larger items, like if there is equipment that might need to be replaced or insulation that could be put in place in your place of business to reduce energy costs. They'll give you a proposal. And as I said, right now until August 31st, Eversource and Mass Save are covering up to 100% of that. We know there are several folks in Brookline who've been participating in the Climate Action, in the Climate is Everybody's Business project, actually had gotten proposals several months ago and had understood that they were only going to be paid 70 or 80% by Eversource and Mass Save. And now they've just learned that actually 100% of the cost is going to be paid for. So one of those is actually $12,000 that is being paid by Mass Save and Eversource, and will be thousands and thousands of dollars of savings for that customer. So we really encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities to save money right away. The other thing, again, on energy efficiency, folks may not realize lights and air conditioning, particularly in unoccupied spaces, use up lots of energy and just incur costs that, where you're wasting money. So we really encourage you to turn off lights, turn down air conditioning in unoccupied spaces, and then also unplug energy consuming appliances. People call them energy vampires, which really basically means things like plasma TVs, some other equipment that you might not be using. It can use up a lot of energy even when it's not in use. So unplug and save money and stop wasting energy. And the other thing that I will mention, and Kara, you might want to comment on this as well, is that you might want to check your electric bill to see that you're not overpaying on your supplier rates. Many Brookline accounts are signed up for third-party suppliers, and their rates, as well as their percentages of renewables or green energy, may not be as favorable as those that are offered by the town. So you might want to look at your bill and then look at brooklinegreen.com and reference to see if there is a comparison that is favorable for you or not, and see if you can make a change. So Kara, you might want to speak to this. And I'm going to post, unless Meredith has already done it, I'll post the link to the special campaign that's the August 31st deadline for the Mass Save Energy Audit. Did you already stick that in the chat?
I did just pop it in the chat.
Thank you so much. And then I'll also stick in the chat, Climate is Everybody's Business has a website, gogreen.brooklinechamber.com, hosted on the Brookline Chamber site. And on there, you'll see lots of different tips, success stories, examples, and we're going to continue to put more content on there about how to save energy, save money, save the planet. So during this time when everybody's really focused on the economics of running a business and the pressure to find every dollar you can and save every dollar you can, we're going to be really emphasizing ways businesses can save money through energy efficiency and other strategies. So keep an eye out on gogreen.brooklinechamber.com and look out for more information from us on strategies for saving money while you help save energy in the planet.
Thank you, Anne. All really important, useful information. If people have questions, should they follow up with you or direct them to Mass Saves?
They can follow up with us, definitely, and also to David. I know many of the people on the call probably already know David Gladstone. They can also look on the website, and I'll stick in my email address in here too.
Perfect. Thank you, Anne.
Sure.
Kara, I saw you unmuted. Did you have something to?
Oh, I just wanted to thank Anne and David. They've done this, completely through the private sector. The first phase, they got some kind of seed funding from a couple of organizations in the area. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's really great that you guys have gone off and done this and are now partnering, as I understand, with Climate Action Brookline, which is a private organization. So I just want to say thank you. And yes, if anybody has a question about their electric supply, definitely just give me a call. We can help anybody. Just open up your last electric bill and give me a call, and we can walk through it and see what you're paying, what the rate is, what your options are, so that you are most informed as an energy consumer. Thank you.
I'll add one other thing, Kara. Thank you for mentioning that. And we did get a grant to fund our work for the outreach work for this year from the Grassroots Environmental Fund. So that is part of our, outreach today. So it's continuing
on. And I have one quick question, and you may not know the answer, but I think it was Curry House maybe has a promotion going on that it looks like they've also partnered up with maybe Mass Saves and residents, if they do the tele-appointment of getting an energy audit, that they get a $25 certificate from Curry House. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. That's fabulous.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what I saw. I thought that was interesting, and I'm curious. I have to find out how he was able to connect with them to offer that. Maybe other businesses could as well.
Great, love that.
I'm muted. Thank you so much, Anne. So we are all here, and we've been here for the past 17 virtual town hall meetings because this is an incredibly difficult, uncertain, scary time for the business community and a lot of people. We wanted to bring the Brookline Food Pantry on to this virtual town hall meeting just to kind of send out an SOS. This is also a really difficult time for the food pantry. The need has increased dramatically for their services. So we are joined today by Elizabeth Bowen, the Executive Director of the Brookline Food Pantry, to provide an update and talk about what the food pantry's needs are and how the business community or others might be able to help.
Thank you, Meredith. And thank you, everyone, for having me here today. I'm learning so much in a short period of time and good to see so many familiar faces. We did speak with Meredith because, as I'm sure many of you know, the food insecurity in the Brookline community has increased quite a bit since COVID, since the COVID crisis started. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, pre-COVID, typically we would serve about 150 to 175 families per week. That was very stable for several years. And we are now serving about 600 families per week. So it's been quite a change for us. I'm thrilled to say that the Brookline community has really come through for us in terms of both volunteer workers. We are largely a volunteer organization with over 100 volunteers, and also monetarily, the community has been very, very generous. So I'm very happy to say we've had great success in feeding these 600 families every week, and everything is going very smoothly, a lot different than it used to be, but very smoothly. And so that's all the good news. The tough news for us that I'm hoping maybe someone in this group, or maybe you know someone outside the group who might be able to help us, is that a large part of the food we give away, we try to be as healthy as possible. So a large part of the food either needs to be frozen or refrigerated. Things like frozen fish and chickens, frozen vegetables and fruits, as well as fresh items like milk and eggs and cheese and a variety of fruits and vegetables. And so with this change, we were able to spend some money and buy new refrigerator and freezers. However, the locations that we're in, 2 in BHA sites and 1 at St. Paul's Church, there really is quite limited space for anything like that. So kindly, the Brookline Public Schools have been loaning us both the Lawrence School and Lincoln School sites for these items. However, they need their space back as of August 10th. The next part of good news is that we are looking at a space at High Street Veterans, which would be a permanent space for us to build a walk-in refrigerator and freezer and also have dry goods storage. However, realistically, that will be done at the end of November, probably. So if anyone here has or knows of maybe a restaurant space or some kind of small store with refrigerator and freezer, dry goods space that might not be in use, and if they think this might be something that the food pantry could use, I'd love to hear from you or your colleague who you might know. Obviously, we are a small nonprofit with not a lot of money. However, we do not want to, further trouble somebody who might be having economic issues of their own. So if this were a closed restaurant and they needed us to pay the electric bill, for instance, if they needed us to pay maybe some sort of help with their rent cost during this time, we'd absolutely be willing to consider that and work with them as well. The other thing is, I know there might be some kind of concern about having random people coming in and out of their space at various times. So again, we would be more than willing to work with either the owner or renter of this space to make sure either we could pay someone if they wanted to have an employee on site for a few hours while we're there. We'd certainly be able to work with them on, a limited number of days per week and times per week that we would be in and out of the space. So we're really willing to be flexible in terms of anybody being able to help us. And I will also say, if there's somebody who might have a space that would not be available the entire time of August 10th through the end of November, but might be able to help us at a portion of that time, or be willing to say, I could promise you 30 days right now and we'll see what happens in a few weeks. We're really willing to consider just about anything. At this point, we're pretty desperate to make sure that we're able to really keep up the quality and amounts of food that we give every family each week. So any help anyone might be able to put our way, I can add our Brookline Food Pantry at gmail.com email address, and you could send me an email if you have any ideas or any leads that might help us.
Thank you, Elizabeth. There was a question or a comment posted by Shulan in the Q&A about Porto Maltese, which has been a restaurant location in Washington Square that's been closed for a while. That's an interesting idea. We can certainly follow up on that. We thought it was important for the Brookline Food Pantry to come and speak to this particular group because, there sort of might be a unique set of networking connections through our small business or through our virtual town hall meeting. attendees. So another idea that I think we had talked about with Shannon was, number one priority would be available storage space, but then there might also be some interest in vendors who provide refrigeration equipment that might be willing to provide a discounted rate for rental if we're not able to find an existing location. Is that still something that's of interest, or?
That certainly is, yes. It might sound crazy to business owners especially, but we found that renting a refrigerator or freezer for 3 months is equal to the cost of buying a brand new one. So it's very cost prohibitive. And again, not really having a space where we are right now that we would even be sure we could keep more refrigeration or freezer without really putting a burden on the BHA or the church. That could be a little bit tough, but we're certainly willing to consider it at this point.
Great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I know things are crazy busy right now, and that Thursdays in particular are super busy for you guys. So thank you for taking the time to join us. And
thank you so much. I'll sign off right now. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to hearing from anybody who might be able to help.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Have a great day.
All right. So that's all that we had teed up in terms of guest speakers or updates. So we are ready to take any questions people might have, other particular issues or topics of discussion that you were hoping we could address in this meeting. Can give people a second to tee up some questions in the Q&A. Bin Chen from Noah's Kitchen, which I think is about to open soon in Brookline Village, just said, please send us the food pantry email. We will follow up. Amazing. Thank you so much, Bin. I will definitely do that. While we're waiting for people to maybe tee up some questions, I'd also want to remind people that we still have plenty of storefront signs available. So if your storefront sign is looking faded and you'd like a replacement one, or your operations have changed and you need a new sign that more accurately reflects how you're open, let us know. We'll come drop off a new sign as soon as possible. And I can put a link to that in the chat as well. Jen, question from Jen, anything up with the Harvard Square, Hickey Triangle, the corner space, or Station Street? Sorry if I missed this. No, you did not miss anything. I think you're asking about status of outdoor seating in Brookline Village in both the Hickey Triangle and down on Station Street. So we are continuing to work with the businesses on Station Street. We did hit a bit of a speed bump, and we did a walkthrough. We had identified a location where the town might be able to put out picnic tables or some other outdoor street furniture. And there were some concerns from a neighboring business and also from the public health department about that particular site. So we are still working on that. Hope to provide some updates soon. The other issue, which Kara alluded to earlier when we were talking about outdoor seating in Washington Square, is the availability of street furniture. The town had a limited number of extra picnic tables, some of which are at the Webster Street lot in Coolidge Corner. We're hoping to get some grant funding from the state for, the grant funding is specifically for making outdoor seating happen. And so we're kind of waiting to hear back about how much the town received, and then we'll be able to gauge whether or not, or how much additional street furniture the town might be able to provide to these common area outdoor seatings. The Hickey Triangle, I would love to talk to you more about that. One other restaurant in Brookline Village has expressed interest in that. So definitely shoot me an email and we can see what else we can do in the Hickey Triangle. Okay, great, thanks. And Todd Corain from our transportation department, I know, is listening in, which I really appreciate. So if Todd had anything else to add, just shoot me a quick message, and I can make sure that we give people updates. Elizabeth Dunford, where is the Hickey Triangle? Great question. So in Brookline Village, it's where there's the intersection of Harvard Street and Washington Street, and it kind of diverges. It's where the clock tower is in front of Brookline Bank. I hope that's it's called the Hickey Triangle, right, Kara? Quick sanity check.
It is. It's also called Harvard Square. So, depends on if you feel like a square or a triangle that day.
Oh. Okay. Shulan, is it possible for private companies to donate outdoor furniture or to publicize that? That's a great question. Kara, do you have any thoughts on that?
Shulan, you're just such a powerhouse. Thank you just for caring so much about your community. It is definitely possible to have donations to the town for certain purposes, and the way that would happen would be through a select board meeting. The select board would, it sounds silly, but they would vote to accept the donation, and that's just for state law ethics considerations to make sure that that happens. So that's definitely something we could do, and we would probably just have it go straight to DPW to accept for that funding, and Erin Galentine, we can let her know. That's a great idea. And in case we don't have any other questions, Meredith, I typed half a comment in the group chat, so I just wanted to kind of tell people what I was thinking about. There's a town organization that is working on making it really clear to our Brookline residents all the different options you have to do mail-in voting. The primary is happening as soon as September, and so that deadline is going to be here sooner than we know. We know that our businesses are struggling with everything else. The request that we got was actually to post an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in your business. I'm not expecting a lot of you to be able to do that, but I am going to
You're muted again, Kara.
Thank you. If you're talking to customers in your store and, just politics or elections comes up at the national level or whatever, this link that I think I've put now in the chat, you can download it and just kind of, share with your customers as you see fit. If you'd like to print it out and post it in your business, that would be wonderful. That's all I have.
All right. There was a question that David posted in the chat privately, but it's a good question related to outdoor seating. Some businesses are talking to adjacent business owners to see if they can expand their sidewalk footprint. Are there any policies or restrictions on that? I think the no restrictions. The policy, I believe, is that, and we've seen lots of examples of this where, especially where you have a restaurant next to a service or a retail business, they've reached out to their neighbor, explained their situation, and it seems like the neighboring businesses have been more than willing to accommodate restaurants expanding outdoor seating kind of past their own storefront area. And transportation, or at least the permitting process, they would like some sort of a note from the property owner of that adjacent property, just indicating that they provide their consent for this and they're supportive of it. And apparently it can even be as informal as a scanned handwritten note. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions or people raising their hands. Raul, do you have anything to add, or?
Just a couple things, and if there are more questions, we can answer those. I wanted to remind folks about the Brookline Safety Net Fund. I am now putting into the chat. There is the link to give if you can, but also the number to call for support. I was talking with the director of the Brookline Community Foundation, which works in collaboration with the Brookline Center to make sure that people have access to these funds for things like rent, food. I was reminded when we had Elizabeth on earlier about the great need that still exists out there, and other critical needs. And so that fund exists for all members of our community. That includes folks who live in Brookline, but also those folks who work in Brookline, including business owners and employees within our community, as well as METCO families. And it's all available regardless of immigration documentation status, any of that kind of stuff. So if you need support, please call that number. And if you can give to help support others, please click that link and do that. The other important reminder too is to check in on your favorite Brookline nonprofits and other nonprofits, see how they're doing, what kind of support they need. I'm still holding out hope that the Coach Corner Theater will reopen someday, but the only way that it'll do that is if we continue supporting it and our other favorite nonprofits and theaters and show places throughout the community. So please, if you haven't recently, check in on them, see what they need, because there are very unique challenges to some of these, especially places like the Coolidge, Puppet Show Place, and others, to reopening as well. So just keep them in mind.
Okay, any last call for questions or comments? Okay. All right, back to you, Raul.
All right, folks, thanks so much for being with us today. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Just a reminder that in the interim, we're all available. So please reach out should you need anything. We're here for you and we want to hear from you. So thank you very much. And we'll see you again soon. Take care.